When you think about the 16-bit era fighting games, you probably think about Street Fighter 2 and the Mortal Kombat series. But tucked away beyond the winds of time, on the Super Famicom is one of the strangest fighters ever made. It's absurd and it's very weird. The name of the game is Chou Aniki Bakuretsu Rantouden. I apologize for the horrible pronunciation. Released in 1995 for the Super Famicom, Bakuretsu Rantouden is part of the infamous Chou Aniki series, a franchise already known for its over-the-top muscle men, bizarre humor and surreal presentation. It was developed by Masaya, a studio responsible for shooters like Assault Suits Valken and Langrisser, but in this game they tried their luck with the 1v1 fighting game. The game never left Japan officially, so no North American or Europe release. Which honestly isn't that surprising. Between the homoerotic imagery, oiled-up sprites and tongue-in-cheek campiness, it would have been a tough sell in the mid-90s Western market. Even in Japan, it flew under the radar compared to the bigger games of the fighting genre. But among collectors and retro enthusiasts, it became a cult curiosity, a fighting game unlike any other on the Super Nintendo. At its core, Bakuretsu Rantouden is one-on-one fighting game. It was basically Masaya's attempt to ride the fighting game boom of the mid-90s. You pick a character, battle through opponents in best of 3 rounds with very muscular characters in weird stages and arenas. But the Chou Aniki DNA is everywhere. Instead of typical martial artists or ninjas, the roster features bodybuilders, bizarre sci-fi creations and campy parodies of fighting game archetypes. Expect to throw punches, kicks, flex poses that somehow double as special attacks. Controls are standard for the time, a mix of light and heavy strikes, directional inputs for specials, and the occasional over-the-top super moves. But the pacing feels different compared to the mainstream fighters. The characters are big and bulky, dash movement is fun, and the game often feels more like a parody of Street Fighter 2 than an actual competitor. And unlike many fighters, it doesn't take itself seriously. Every move, every animation is dripping with comedy, whether intentional or not. This is a fighting game that will make you laugh while you play. Famicom companies were something different. Visually, Bakuretsu Rantouden is something else. Characters are large, exaggerated sprites, often shirtless, flexing or striking wild poses. Some are muscular men in tiny panties. Others are strange hybrids of man and machine. Every fighter looks like they stepped out of a surreal bodybuilding anime, which might have been the purpose all along. The backgrounds are equally bizarre. You will fight in sci-fi arenas, weird industrial zones, and stages that feel like you just had your dose of psychedelics. They aren't as polished or as animated as Street Fighter backgrounds, but they are undeniably unique. The soundtrack leans heavily into quirky, almost heroic tunes but with a strange comedic undertone. And the sound effects, the grunts, the flexes and the dramatic voice clips. You will get an audio experience which is as surreal as the visuals. All in all, the graphics and the sound effects are memorable, and that's the key part on what keeps the game alive in gaming discussions decades later. How does it play when you actually sit down with it? On the surface it's simple. The arcade ladder pits you against the roster one by one. Matches follow the classic formula. Best 2 out of 3 rounds. Health bars, time limits, and also there is a power meter. Difficulty can swing wildly. Some opponents feel laughably easy, standing there while you pummel them. Others suddenly spam powerful specials or read your input with uncanny precision, leading to frustrating losses. They also sometimes perform really long combos, adding to the frustration. The balance isn't exactly refined. This was never a tournament-level fighter. It feels more like a game that prioritizes its humor and weirdness over the competitive depth. It's basically a weird anime in game form. Still, there's enough variety in the character roster and enough charm in the animations that you will want to play at least through one arcade round and try out different characters and their tricks. As for the length, as fighting games tend to be, the game is short, but the replay value lies in sampling each fighter, discovering their strange movesets, and of course showing it off to friends who have no idea about what they are about to witness. Bakuretsu Tendon really shines on its oddities and fun facts. First, the roster. You've got bizarre characters like Idaten and Benten, the flying musclemen who were options in the original shoot-em-ups, now fully playable fighters. Other characters mix bodybuilding parody with sci-fi absurdity, making every matchup feel surreal. The game doesn't try to hide its sense of humor. Poses and taunts and victory screens lean into absurd comedy. It feels self-aware, like the developers knew that they were making something very strange and leaned into it fully. And they probably enjoyed their time with the game as well. While it was never released outside Japan, the game gained cult status among import collectors. Today, a boxed Super Famicom copy is considered a fun oddity and prizes that curiosity value rather than rarity. And yes, this wasn't the last time we saw Chou Aniki series. The franchise spawned sequels, spin-offs, and even PlayStation titles, each one embracing its reputation as one of Japan's strangest gaming exports. In short, this isn't just a forgotten fighter, it's part of a large legacy of the bizarre games that somewhat found their niche in their fanbase around the world, especially in Japan. So what do we make of Chou Aniki Bakuretsu Rantouden today? As a fighter, it doesn't compete with the greats. The mechanics are clunky, the balance is off, and it was never destined to be on the competitive scene. But that was never really the point. The game is about style, personality, and sheer oddness. It's about taking the on-rise fighting game genre of the 90s and twisting it into something unique. For some, it's a hidden but weird gem. A game that it feels so different yet so familiar. Chou Aniki Bakuretsu Rantouden doesn't need to be measured against Street Fighter 2 or Mortal Kombat. It stands alone among the weird cult games on the Super Nintendo. So get your pump on and grab your body oil and give the game a spin. See you next time.